Hello friends, in this video I'll be going to cover about the advanced query techniques unit 3, which is a part of report design 2 course. So in this video I'll be going to cover about the main basic concepts related to the combined queries and why combined queries are used uh, and required. Then we'll cover about the subqueries, how to use subqueries, and lastly we will see about how to change the data sources. So let's start with the lesson 1, which will be about the implementing combined queries. So the combined query technique enables you to create two queries and merge the results of both into a single data provided on a selective basis. So it may be two or more queries, but that will merge the results into a single data provider. So adding single and complex filters to a query allows you to restrict the amount of information that the query returns. This standard technique allows you to combine multiple filters in a single query, and you can design these combinations to make queries specific and limiting. Okay, so this is the main function of the combined queries, which will restrict the data specific to the queries. However, this technique only works with a single query. There are situations when we want to combine results of both two queries into a single data provider. So there are situations where we wanted to have two queries results into a single data provider. So we will see what all the scenarios required for the combined queries. So to build this, we need to build a combined queries. So what are the methods of combined querying? The first one is union, which will combine the results that appear in query 1 or query 2. Intersection, which will combines the results that appear in the query 1 and query 2. And the third one is minus, which will combine the results that include everything in query 1 except for what is also true in query 2. So it will just take out of query 1 data and not from query 2. Okay, let's see graphically means how it looks. Means union will see means this is a query 1, this is a query 2. So union will, what will do, it will if the condition is matching, then it will fetch the results from query 1 or query 2 as well if the conditions are matching. So both of the queries data will come in a union. So union will take all the results from both the queries excluding duplicates. So it will not allow to take the duplicates value between these two queries. Then coming to intersection. So intersection will have this common data between the two queries. Means whatever the conditions which are matching between both the queries, query 1 and query 2, that data will be retrieved. So that will becomes an intersection. Then minus will, what it will do, it will take the data from query 1 and except also from query 2 where the condition is not matching. So it will just extract the data from query 1, and the data where it is matching between query 1 and query 2, it will not take that, and from the query 2 it will also not take that. Okay, so these are the three methods to create a combined queries. So what are the scenarios? Means let's see a scenarios where we wanted to create a combined queries. So let's say means if you want to find the dates on which your customer either made reservations or paid their invoices. So this query requires two incompatible objects, invoice date and reservation date. So while the data that the object represents are identical, the intent of both the dates is incompatible. Therefore, the objects are incompatible. Now let's see means what are the differences between the standard query and combined query. So query type, see this table will have query type, object type and results. The first one is standard query. So the objects type used in the standard query will be incompatible because and the results will be two blocks of unsynchronized data. While in combined query, the objects will be incompatible, but the single column of the data in a block. So the main difference is in a standard query, it will be a two blocks of unsynchronized data. Later that we need to synchronize if required. And in combined query, it will be a combination of the two queries into single block or single data provider. So what are the advantages of using combined queries? So the first one is to make the construction of the query easier. The second one is to set the required query filters when using Boolean logic is not possible. Okay, and only one disadvantage of the using combined queries is the processing time. So it takes longer because of the creation of the multiple queries. So there are multiple queries we need to create, and it may take longer time to process or to retrieve the data. So that is the one disadvantage for the combined queries. Okay, let's see in an example means how this standard query filters, which are generally used, will cause a data issue. So let's take two queries, query one and query two. So what query one is doing means it is taking a SKU numbers and SKU description data from the products. So it is 211 total number of records it is retrieving. Query to what it is do, it is um, it will display 8 records consisting of SKU numbers and SKU description and products, and there is a filter applied which has promotion is equal to yes or no. Okay, so this is the one miss. So this condition is promotion is equal to a yes, then it will return the eight records. Otherwise, all the products are 211. Okay, so let's see means how this is the first query. You'll see means how standard queries are like. So in standard queries, query one is on this tab and query two is another tab. So SQL number and SQL description, this is just all data without any filter in the first query. The second query, if you see, this is the second query, uh, which is having a SQL number and SQL description in a results objects, and in a query filters it has promotions, which will say promotion in list or is equal to y. That means if there is a promotion, then it will return the data. Okay, so the first query will return the data as 211 rows, which is nothing but all rows from this universe. Then for number of records, this query is returning 8 because only out of 211 only 8 records is having promotion, so that records count is getting displayed. So this is nothing but 211 and 8 are record counts which are getting from these queries. Now the only thing means we suppose for query 2, if you are applying a condition promotion is not equal to y, so it should at least I actually give 203 rows, but it is giving no data to retrieve for query 2. If you see, this will not give any records because this is a common data relational database issue for data integrity. So because it will not check the records which are having promotion is not equal to y. That's why it is just displaying no data to return to. Okay, so but as per the requirement, we should at least get 203 rows out of that. So to solve this type of issues, we need to build combined queries. So how to build a combined query? Okay, so first query, if I taken means like suppose I am taking SQL number and SQL description in the first query, and then if I want to add a combined query, then what I'll do, I'll just click on this icon. If you see, there are two circles with plus icon. If I click on this, the combined query gets added. See, if it's combined query, query 1 and query 2, and that operator is it union, intersection, or minus. So now if I say means for combined query 1 and query 2, for query 1, if I don't apply any filter, it will give the data 211 plus. If I here I am applying query 2 for promotion is equal to yes, or promotion is not equal to yes, then it should give that particular 2003 record. So So this way we can solve this data integrity issue by creating a combined query. Okay, coming to the key aspects of combined query, what are the key aspects or the key components or important rules we should consider? The first one is only queries built in the same universe can be combined. So only thing is we need to have a same universe for the two queries to be combined. Only combined queries that contain the same number of objects run successfully. So whatever the results objects are we are taking, that should be same in both of the queries. A combined query that returns data for more than one objects in a column. Only objects for the first query displays the block after the query is run. So whenever we run the query, the objects which are from the first query will display in the block. Combined query objects display the same column as the objects from the first query. Then union is a default operator for a combined query. So whenever we click on combined queries or create combined queries, the first operator will always consider union operator. So union returns all values excluding duplicates. So this union operator we can change it later as well. The union all operator requires a custom formula or variable in web intelligence. So if you want to apply union all, then there is a function in functions area which will be used as a custom variable or formula. Now to retrieve only unique rows, how we can retrieve the unique rows? Means we should not get duplicate rows. How we can do that? On the in the query panel, if you see, this is an icon where it will show query properties. If you click on this, the query properties window gets open, and there is an option of the data which will retrieve duplicate rows. So if you uncheck this, it will not consider or it will not retrieve the duplicate rows. Okay, so this is the way it will avoid the data. Okay, then coming to next point or lesson 2, which is about the implementing subqueries. So why subqueries are needed and what is subquery? So subqueries enables us to specify output of a query as the operand value for a query filter of another query. So when to use these subqueries? When the results of the main query are dependent upon the results of the inner query. So the first is like means if the main query data is dependent upon the results of other query, then we should use the inner query. When the value of the operand is known, when the value of the operand is unknown means at that time we can use subquery. When the query filter for the report involves a value that changes over a period of time. So there may be values in the database which is getting changed by some other system uh, from time to time. So we at that time we cannot apply the synchronization directly. How to so let's understand the subqueries means. Suppose the user wants the storage, which store generated more revenue than my stores. Okay, so what first he need to do? First I must find out the what revenue my store earn, and then therefore part of the my conditions is another query. So this is 2 points we need to consider, and the subquery will do the trick. So got it right? Okay, so this is the subqueries which we can use. And how can we build a subquery? Let's so suppose I wanted to add a subquery and margin object. I can click on that. If you see means once we click on that, I can give the operator name and then add the operator equal to, not equal to, or in list like that. So this is the where condition. Means the first step is to select the dimension or measure. Second step is selecting clicking on this icon to create a subquery. So once you click on this, this type of window will come up where we need to give the results objects like margin objects or again margin like that. Okay. The next one is about lesson 3, creating query based on another query. So there are situations where we wanted to create another query based on the existing query. So suppose there are multiple objects available in the query and just one object is changing to have another query, then we can just copy that query and then just modify it whenever we check that. So the first thing is web intelligence allows to create a query based on the structure of another query. So it will allow us to create a query based on the structure of another query. This will save the time with the complex reports and can ensure that different queries are defined exactly the same way. Now, how we can duplicate means when you build a report with many queries based on the same universe, query duplication can accelerate the process. So suppose there is a complex report and there are some queries which are almost similar to the other queries which are built. So we can just duplicate that queries and just make minor modifications if required. So how we can duplicate? So just right click on this query. Once you right click on this query, whatever the query we wanted to duplicate, just click on this duplicate option and this new query will get open. This will be query 1 and query 2. Okay. So okay, coming to the changing data sources, how we can change the data sources and why changing of the data sources is needed. So web intelligence allows to change the data sources from one universe to another universe. And why this change of the data source is needed. So when you move from test universe into production and want to use the same document for on a new universe, at that time you can use to change the data sources. When you change between universes covering different functional areas but based on the same database. So there are suppose some other functional areas which I want to explore, then I can just use that function as in the same database. Now how we can change the data source? So first thing is first I like means we need to go to the data mode while if you want to change the data source. Once you go into the data mode, you will see a query 1 here. Whatever the query is available to that particular table, then this go to the data access in the tools and then change data source, change source. If you click on this, it will ask for query 1. If there are multiple queries, then it will show up here. So for query 1, I just selected it. Once we click on this, the new window gets open, which will allow to have two options. First one is choose an existing data source from the document. So we can just select one existing source. If we want to specify new source, then we can have this universe selected and click on next. Once we click on next, the strategies we need to select. What are the strategies available? Same name or removal? What are the order we can specify? We can just up and down why the order needed. So why these strategies are used? It is for mapping objects between the source and target data source. Once we click on next, we will see get a new window which will show the object mapping. So year and state are these are the two objects which should be which are used in the current objects, and the same can be in the new. We can give a new name, otherwise we can use same name as is from current to new one. And lastly, we will create a click on finish. So this way we will change the data source. So this is mostly useful in deployments from QA to production or from dev to QA like that. So this is a very important function available in the web intelligence. Okay, that's we came to the end of this unit. So let's check an understanding means what are the advantage of the combined queries, in which cases you should use a subquery, in which of the cases it is useful to duplicate the query, and in which case changing the data source is useful. Okay, let's see an answers. So the advantage of the combined queries is they make the construction of the query easier. You can define using you can use them when it is not possible to set the required query filters using Boolean logic. Then in which cases you should use a subquery. So when results of the main query is depend upon the results of the inner query, when the value of the operand is unknown, and when the query filter for the report involves a value that changes over time. Next question is, in which of the cases it is useful to duplicate the query? So when you build a report with many queries based on the same universe, at that time it is useful to duplicate the query to just save the time. In which case changing the data source is useful. When you move from test universe into production and want to use the same document as the new universe, when the new change between the universes covering different functional areas but based on the same database. Okay, so this is all about this unit. I hope you have understood the concepts. If you have any questions, please put it in comment section. I will be happy to answer it. If you like my video, then please like it and subscribe to my video as well. If you subscribe, you will get to know about my new videos which I am publishing. Thank you for watching my video.